good officers of most Buddhists who are very anxious to see that good relations exist among the countries. It will be possible for Vietnam to have some changes in its policy with regard to religious freedom and be able to recognize all different branches or sects or schools or traditions of Buddhism that are there in the country already. It's a great hope, and the hope is to a great extent substantially and extraordinary interest that they take in Buddhism. For example, in the year 2009, the Vesak, the United Nations Vesak celebrations were held in Hanoi with the full participation of the government. And in all such occasions, all of us who represent the international Buddhist community keep on emphasizing the need to have some transparency in its policy. And I think that if we continue to do it the way that is possible for us to correspond and communicate with the leading Buddhist scholars. We have great Buddhist scholars in Vietnam already, as one by the name of he is recognized by all of us as a leading Vietnamese Buddhist scholar of the day today. And he is one of those who is interpreting, doing his very best to see how the difficulties that are existing today are wiped out and hopefully.
Yeah, I'm here. Yes. I have two questions. One question, you all know and we all know the doctrine of the Buddhism document. Most of them transformed from the Chinese monk. So my question is, how many percent of the old Buddhist teaching have been carried over from India to China?
All the contents of the Chinese Tripitaka originated in Sanskrit, and therefore it was originated in India. If you take the 100 volumes of the Chinese Tripitaka as published in what is called the Taisho edition. Now Taisho edition was something that Japan brought out from 1924 onwards. First time Chinese Tripitaka was published in one publication. The first 45 volumes are translations of the Sanskrit canon of what was called the Sarvastivadi school, intact. Then all other, whether you are taking the Lotus Sutra, Avatansaka Sutra, or the Surangama Sutra, or each one of those sutras originated first in Sanskrit and were translated into Chinese by quite a large number of Indian and Central Asian monks who went to China. And one of the great translators was Kumarajiva, who was from India. So when we look at the Chinese Buddhist canon, we accept it as coming in the same way as the rest of the Mahayana tradition. While, and we are also very grateful that China put them all together, and Korea written them for the first time. You know that 75 years before the Gutenberg Bible was printed, Korea has already printed their Buddhist Tripitaka in Chinese characters with movable type. So, the Indian origin, the authenticity of the Buddha's teaching has not in any way disappeared or changed as a result of the translation. We are very happy to see that some of the wordings have been so very carefully worded. I'll give an example. I was in Japan the other day, and I was in what is called the Simple Pavilion in Kyoto. And on the door, they had 5 lines, and they happened to be in Chinese characters, thank you. And I asked the person to translate them, and especially the last line, which happened to be the 5th precept. The 5th precept says, in the original Pali, I take upon myself the discipline of abstaining from negligent situations caused by liquor and drugs. Now that is a statement. It doesn't say, I shall not drink or thou shalt not drink. No. It has the word like I take upon myself the discipline. That translation was word to word exact. 2,000 years it had taken to go from India all the way thousands of miles to China, and from China to Korea, from Korea to Japan, and the original word remains. The more you learn, study the more you study the Chinese translation, the more I am impressed that those monks who translated wanted to keep to the original. They wanted to keep to the original as faithfully as possible. So that is a great the mark of authenticity for this. Now, 10 minutes more of my time.
Yeah. Another question is, with your well-known by the world, do you have any friction or any support request from the politicians around the world to support their world peace or their domination, something? Share with us.
I have been working for world peace in a variety of organizations. As a member of the United Nations staff, working through UNESCO, I have gone and interacted with many countries to make sure that certain basic human rights are observed and so on. And particularly I have been agitated for the education of girls, because in most countries they neglected the education of women. And with regard to peace, it has been possible to interact with many people who try to bring about peace through consultation, through compromise, and through consensus. We are in a world with a lot of divisions. It's easier to fight than with governments. This is very sad. But the message that we have to reconcile, that friendship, loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, equanimity, that these are great values that can bring humanity together. We have to keep on repeating from every platform, on every occasion. The politicians are people who deal with the reality, and they deal with the reality of impermanence. Every politician is worried about the fact that the power that he clings to could disappear into thin air just the next day, the next moment. We have seen people disappearing from the scene, and at the same time, those people are thought to be doing something due to the short period that they can be in power. And it is a very big problem with them to decide what their priorities are. And every time I have interacted with them, I have told them, don't think of your next election. Think what will happen to your country in another 25 years, another 10 years. The decision that you are taking today will only be found effective in your country 25 years from now. Can you look so far and modify your decision? I must say, amen. They may try, they may fail, but they agree. So conversation has been kept going. On the 16th of May, we had the 2600th anniversary of Buddha's enlightenment in the United Nations, and the theme was, and I told them this story that comes from China. Because stories sometimes make greater impact than all the intellectual speeches you make. And I like to share that story with you. The story refers to four men who were in the rain outside a house. It was raining, it was lightning, and these people were wet. And the lady of the house went and said, why don't you come into my house? You can warm yourself up, I can give you some tea, you'll be more comfortable in the rain days. And these four old men say, sorry, we don't have a house, okay. So the man comes in the evening with the two children, and the man goes to the two people and say, would you please come into our house, we can do some tea? And the men say, yes, we will come, but only on this crowd. Who comes among us to your house depends on whom you invite. You invite one of us and we will decide